are you guys?
Good, man.
Muy bien, gracias.
Muy bien. Hablando español.
Hablas un poquito.
Amigos, desde Nueva York los saludo. Adivinen qué, estoy en la premier mundial de House of Dragons. La segunda temporada ya viene, ya se va a estrenar y hoy será el primer screening, la primera proyección con todos los actores y las actrices de esta temporada que continúa el universo de Game of Thrones. Acompáñenme a ver las entrevistas, esta es la plática que tuve con los protagonistas. How are you feeling with this new season?
I'm tired.
You're tired?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I'm excited. It's great. I mean, we're actually still finishing the last episode, so we're still kind of in the thick of season 2, and just sound mixes and visual effects and things like that. But yeah, it's been a crazy long road, and I'm excited to finally bring it out to the world.
Oh, it's frustrating. I mean, I've been a fan of television shows, and when it ends on a cliffhanger, you just can't stand it. So no, I'm overjoyed that everyone's going to finally get a chance to see the next chapter.
Errors were made in the hours following King Viserys' death.
Here we are with the most powerful woman in this universe. Who's more powerful?
Who's more powerful?
Yeah.
I mean, in the context of the show, I think but we
No,
as we start.
No, it's it's naughty. It's not obvious.
Yeah.
How do you feel with those periods of time to wait and to talk? Because you can't talk with all this time. Now you can. So how do you feel?
The anticipation
It feels good
big.
to finally release the energy that
Yeah.
we've been holding for so long.
Yeah.
But not saying spoilers is really hard. But I haven't said any, which is good. But
Yeah.
that is one difficult thing about it.
Yeah.
Do you have any technique for not doing spoilers?
Say nothing. Always.
Just learn when to
nothing.
shut your mouth.
Everything is a spoiler.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. Nothing. How was the show? Nothing. It's fine.
Yeah.
Your friends and your family ask you
Nothing.
questions?
Say nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
They
right?
always try and get it out of you, and they're the worst ones because they'll just get you talking about it in like a, how was your day?
Yeah,
and
how
then
was your
suddenly
day
you're
at
like,
work?
what?
Yeah.
My first question is, are you the villain or the hero of this story?
It's a very, very good question, isn't it? I don't even think Damon knows. I don't even think I know. I think, I don't know if he's the hero, but he's a mixture of all things all the time. You can never really, you just don't know which way he's going to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's not just one thing, because his morality is quite warped. So sometimes he feels like he's being quite virtuous, and sometimes he feels like he's being the worst person in the world. But that's great. What a great thing to be able to play as a character.
There is no war so hateful to the gods.
Oh, that's up to you to decide.
Mate, do you know what I mean? Which camp are you in? I think we're the good guys. So controversial
Why?
to say that, isn't it? I don't really think we're the good guys. I just would rather be us.
I'd always rather be on the villainous side.
Like, you'd rather be Slytherin than Gryffindor.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Yeah.
I think both sides have their flaws and both sides have their positives. But yeah, I think that's why it's up to the audience to decide whether we're good or bad.
Very much the good guys.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, we're the good guys, man. You know why? Because the king, before he died, he named his heir, and it was Princess Rhaenyra. So we're just following up on what the king wanted.
We're the good guys.
You know the answer to that question.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're the good guys.
Yeah, of course.
We have another data in other rooms.
Yeah.
That would be lying. That would be called lying.
Yeah.
The enemy without may be fought with swords. The enemy within is more insidious.
Oh,
It's more complicated than that.
That's quite a controversial question.
Yeah, it is.
From Eamon's perspective, we're the good guys, but
Yeah.
I'm sure from their perspective, we're the bad
I
guys.
know. I'd like to think that even they have
think was more nuanced than that, but maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't.
Yeah, I think the greens are for sure complicated, but I think Helena's got her heart in the right place. Yeah.
How much time do you spend since the first day of or something to the screening?
It's a round-the-clock, round-the-year job in a lot of ways, and I always say it's a marathon. You really just have to figure out a way to pace yourself through it, otherwise you can run yourself into the ground. But I've gotten better at that, certainly in season 2 than I was in season 1, and I have a tremendous team around me that does so much of the heavy lifting and the hard work. It's really, I'm in a shepherd's position, trying to guide the flock in a way, and it's very rewarding, surrounded by talented people at every phase of the production.
The war be fought.
Who's the good one and who's the villain?
It's choose your favourite war criminal at this point. It's not who's good and who's bad, I don't think. But you'd say you're the good guys.
Actually, I was going to say the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
we're not the good guys.
No, of course not. But I was going to. Well, I was just thinking that, like, Alison's kind of compromised.
Yeah, she's between a rock and a hard
I'm really
place.
working my empathy.
Yeah, really.
The Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just a king or a queen.
Do you have something in your mind when you are making your performance in the set about your character that maybe it's not in the script, but you have in your mind meanwhile you are doing your...
Yeah, I sort of, I read a lot of Richard III, which is a Shakespeare play, because there's a sort of sense of inner turmoil in that, which I think lends itself to someone like Damon, a sort of, very odd type of conflict that exists in him. And, I listen to a lot of music and have different ways into it every day.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of talk about, but yeah, there's definitely, I think there's what Lara says, and then there's like the basement to that, there's all the stuff that's happening underneath or between the lines. But definitely, there's all this sort of a mystery to it. Definitely, yeah.
I think it depends on the scene, actually, really.
It really depends.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so, there are...
Who you're with.
Yeah. There are scenes that we do together where, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, how much I love this woman, and oh my God, there's possibly a chasm between us. There are other scenes where I'm like, I hate this man, or this man's talking nonsense, he has no idea.
The realm's only hope is in a leader strong enough to unite it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's scenes in this season for both of us where they require a lot of emotional investment, and you almost have to draw upon your own experiences in life. And but yeah, this world is so separate to everything that we live on a day-to-day basis. I think it's important to keep that distance. None of us prevail.
Not like this.
Alison holds love for our enemy. That makes her a fool.
I always try and feel how she would feel about the other person, less about herself. So every scene that you do is different depending on who you're with. And I think as long as the intention of how you feel about that person is there, I like to think it comes across on screen, and that's how you see the differences in performances. And you maybe see the different versions of the character then, depending on who they're talking to.
There is more than one way to fight a war.
I did, yeah. I took a lot of inspiration from Peter O'Toole in Lawrence of Arabia, a character who holds a tremendous power, and he recognises that he can do things that no one else can kind of do. Aemond, he holds, the largest singular power in Vhagar, and that, with great power comes great responsibility, and whether or not Aemond kind of has, we kind of know that he doesn't have the best of control over Vhagar, but he sees Vhagar as a means to be able to etch his name into the history books and to write his name on the wall for everyone to see, and it's quite scary when you've got that much power and that belief.
I guess similarly, I think that maybe an obvious comparison is Cassandra, and from Greek mythology, who is cursed to be able to see the future, but the curse is that no one will ever believe her. And there's there's that sort of echoed here. I don't think it's one-to-one, but yeah, I've read something. It's like you kind of you make a collage of all the different things you've seen and read. And I don't know about you, but it's so exciting if you have a character that you're lucky enough to get to play over a long period of time, which obviously we've done 2 seasons, and hopefully if we don't get drowned in Dragonfire, we'll do season 3. Now when I watch things or I see things or I read things, I'm like, oh, that's a bit of Helena.
Yeah,
and it's quite exciting because you can sort of pick and choose.
That's interesting you mentioned Greek mythology, because I took from
Did you?
Greek mythology as well.
Really?
Yeah, the legend of the Cyclops. So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I guess it's sort of...
Yeah, because he has his own universe, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons, but it has an inspiration of a lot of mythological things that we have been watching along these years.
Yeah.
How can you make the balance with all these characters, because you have a lot of characters? How can you decide how much time it's gonna be on the screen, and how to put it, make a balance between the appearance of each one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big challenge in an ensemble show like this. This is not a television show that's about a core group of 3 friends. You know, that we have, I think, 18 or 19 characters that have what we call POV, or point of view, where you can build a scene around them and what they're experiencing through the end of season 2. And it's a challenge in building that narrative and having it all fold into each other and interconnect, especially when people are in different places all over Westeros. How do you make those things connect to each other and make it feel like it's all pieces of the same narrative? But that is the challenge of crafting a show like this.
Many will die, and the victor will eventually ascend the throne.
You need cold blood, right? Because one thing that it's very characteristic about this whole universe of Game of Thrones and House of Dragons is that everybody's going to be killed. The question is how. The question is when.
I mean, I think that's the tradition that started with the original series and with George's storytelling, is that you get deeply invested in these characters, and then they are suddenly taken away from you in a way that's deeply affecting. And I think that tradition does very much continue into season 2, House of the Dragon. But again, that goes back to our core job as writers, which is crafting characters that people hopefully care about and engage with. And I think if you've done your job there, then when you tell the story and somebody does come off the board for one reason or another, it has a lasting impact on the audience and the characters within the show that makes you more, hopefully, engaged with the narrative as it moves on.
Dragons, I love the dragons, but do you have any favorite, even if you have your own or not?
My favorite has to be Sunfire, the most beautiful. He feels like a pet dog to me. He's a creature, an entity that understands Aegon more than I think people respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sunfire for sure.
Taking this example that of the successful of the previous series, how do you feel with being part of the sequel, the story? Are you excited? Are you afraid? Are you happy?
All of it.
I think it's the combination.
Have any expectation about it?
All of it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. I try to have literally no expectation in a good way, and just see what happens, because I think we feel really lucky to be part of it.
Super grateful.
And it's just really cool to be part of something that... Also, I mean, I haven't seen the first 2 episodes. I'm going to watch tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm like so excited to see what everyone's done, what all the stories are, and yeah.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be wild,
be a roller coaster. Fasten your seatbelts.
We just hope people like it.
War is coming, and neither of us may win.
What about all this mythological thing that we have in the story?
were you were fan of the dragons or of this creature in particular?
Me
Yes.
as a fan, yeah. I mean, I loved dragons as a kid. Yeah, I think they're like extraordinary ideas and creations, and to see them sort of played out in like, I know it's not the real world, but to see like how they would actually affect the real world and how they would be weaponized is such an interesting idea and such an interesting use of the fantasy genre. What would the world actually look like if hubristic humans got hold of dragons?
They are a protector of the realm. Now I find myself in an impossible position.
One thing is for sure, you will be killed. So,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
in Game of Thrones
Everyone dies at some point.
Yeah, the question is how and when.
Yeah. yeah.
So, how do you want to be killed?
How do I want to be killed?
Yeah.
Well, I think George has probably, obviously has penned that out in some way, shape or form. But I just, I think Daemon, part of me thinks he's actually still alive somewhere, because we never really know what happens to Daemon. This is the, in the sort of history of it. So I don't know, but when he does go, I think he'll go down in a blaze of glory.
Oh, sort of incidental, like a splinter that goes septic. Yes, and it happens off camera. Incidental death, yeah. And very quickly though. No antibiotics in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
How do I want to die? I'd sort of want it to be like a bit swashbuckling with like Jefferson.
Yeah.
And then he like just lobs one of those marbles that we've got in front of us at me and it goes dunk and then
yeah. Head hits the
stone and then out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh.
Oh, wow. How would I like to be killed? Well, I guess for Corlys, he would want to be killed at sea and probably in battle.
For me, I don't think she wants to die at all. I think because she spends so much time in armor, in the man's world, having to be strong, having to be tough, having to, maybe do fighting and be in that kind of aggressive world. I think she would love to just pop a couple of pills and lie in a very delicious bath.
Yes.
Just drift away.
My ships sail at your command.
I think you'd be a fool not to want to be killed in Dragonfire.
Yeah, Dragonfire.
I think that's the most mega way to go.
Or just one big chomp.
Yeah,
Just,
swallowed whole.
Yeah, because then it's quick. And it's like, maybe
True.
you wouldn't feel it.
Yeah, that's what you like. That's what you like to think.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And how do you feel with your costume? You have to wear a lot of armors.
Yeah.
But I don't know if is it heavy, is it uncomfortable, or it's very light.
It is very uncomfortable and heavy, but it looks cool, so you kind of suck it up and go, well, this is the deal. But it's quite hard to move in. You can't really sit down, and even standing up is a bit of a pain because it's so heavy and it sort of draws you back or draws you forward. I know Fabian had quite a hard time in his because he's in it all the time, who plays Sir Kristen Cole. And it's quite difficult, but hey, it looks good, and that's what they were in, so you've got to get on with it.
It's not that, I wouldn't choose to wear it out, in my day-to-day life, but it does help. I mean, the wardrobe is extraordinary. I mean, if you get up close to this, everything has been thought of. Just the embroidery on everywhere is so detailed and so thought through. And I actually think I've got I'll let you in on a little secret. The wardrobe think that my costume is the most beautiful costume in the show, and I agree. But yeah, it's nice to wear. It is nice.
Yeah, I don't know why Eve doesn't. You do feel good, right? Because I constantly look at her and go, "Oh my God, she looks so good."
He just thinks the armor looks really. I have to wear the armor a lot, especially in this season. So I tell you one thing, which is good. I'm in trousers for a lot of them, but even the trousers are very tight, and the armor is kind of. Look, they adapted it a lot because they're really sweet. They cut into it and they made it a little bit mobile because it was very hard to move. It was like being in a kind of
How heavy is
tin. But it's not that heavy. It's just very tight and it's kind of cumbersome. And being on the dragon and it's sort of bumping into my skin and it's just kind of. I feel very envious of Alison wearing lots of nice
flowy
frocks,
things,
floaty things that are not quite so hot and sweaty. And
I think, in terms of your costume, the armor that's hot and sexy, and your
very weird.
I have exotic taste.
Armor fetish.
And also that scene, I don't know if you, I can't remember if I saw you in season 2, but when you come in season 1 from dragon riding.
Oh yeah, that was my favourite outfit.
That was lovely.
I requested that outfit in season 1 because I said I'd just love to be in my trousers and just kind of hanging out in the castle, having just gone dragon riding. And what's that, how is Rhaenys when she's casual and can I just be in a shirt and trousers? And I'm so happy they made it for me.
It looks great.
So comfy.
And the pièce de résistance, which they didn't have, and it was that she had a whip at one point, which I was like, oh God, yes. But she couldn't, they wouldn't let her use it.
I did not think they would be so eager to die.
For me, putting the wig on is like the final thing. I feel like a completely different person. And the costumes this year were incredible. Caroline did such a beautiful job. And so they, like, in themselves were so transformative, but just putting that last little bit of a wig on, you feel like a completely different person.
You feel well.
Yeah.
Even when you go to the restroom?
Yeah. Different story.
You can't have to go before you put the costume on. And
Don't drink all day.
Yeah. How many layers do you have per?
Like 7.
Wow.
Like 7 layers.
Do you have 7?
Yeah. Do you remember the day that I was like, do you know how you go to the toilet in this outfit? You don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Because it was so hard.
You don't.
Yeah.
I think for me it's like 5 layers.
Yeah.
Which is still a lot, but obviously not as much as.
But I do feel queenly and I do feel regal, but they're quite restricting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like heavy pieces.
Yes?
Yes. I've got some really amazing capes this season, which are obviously hell for your sciatic nerve, but they are really, amazing and dramatic. Like, I come from a theatre background. Like, I like sort of
enter a room in a
I
cape.
like hammy performance. And you turn around in a cape and people know about it. It's like very it's helpful.
Yes.
What are we going to do about it?
We must play the board before us.
Proceed cautiously.
Fuck dignity! I want revenge.
The dragons is not on the set. Even when we have just like a big part of the body is not in the set, or sometimes yes.
So we get to see really small models of the dragon's sort of neck to head, and they're on a stick.
Yeah,
essentially. But some of the scenes where you're sort of greeting your dragon, there could be a huge blue head being held by about 6 different guys. Wow. And they're really good at making it look like he's breathing or moving or like
big puppet
pushing your head in like that. Yeah, and you get to interact with this big blue head, dragon head. Wow. So it's kind of cool. But then when you're working in more sort of action-driven scenes, there's tennis balls on sticks. Then there you're right.
Sometimes there's a laser. Sometimes there's a laser and you're just like looking at the laser. And then they're like, now the laser's close. Yeah.
This senseless war and send.
Do you have any expectation about this story compare with the successful that has Game of Thrones?
No, I can't. You can't say. Me personally, I can't think of it in terms of that. You sort of have to take it just sort of story by story, really. But the response was breathtaking, really. I think it took all of us by surprise. Just how positively people responded to it.
Yeah.
So it was really. There's a lot of pressure coming back, because we don't want to take that for granted.
Sorry, thank you.
No, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
¿Qué les pareció todos estos datos curiosos? Dragones, intrigas, acción y cualquier cantidad de drama para conseguir un lugar en el trono de hierro se va a vivir en esta nueva temporada de House of Dragons. No se la pierdan, los invitados especiales están llegando. Vamos a ver los primeros episodios y también nos vamos a ir a la fiesta. Yo soy Alex Montiel, suscríbanse, pónganle like y nos vemos en el cine. Bye.